We are now in day 31 of the government shutdown, and many SNAP recipients will not receive benefits tomorrow on the first of the month.
Air traffic controller staffing shortages are spiking as the government shutdown rolls on, and that's causing major disruptions at airports across the United States.
The federal government shutdown hits the 1-month mark today, with open enrollment for Obamacare set to begin this weekend. Americans are bracing for the biggest cost increases in more than a decade.
So unless you've been hiding under a rock, then you know that for the past month, the federal government here in America has been shut down because Congress can't seem to come up with an agreement. Now, no one knows exactly how long this shutdown will last, but it's safe to say that we're in some very dangerous waters right now. So far, the longest shutdown to date in American history has been for 35 days, which happened during Trump's first term back in 2018. But from the looks of it, this current shutdown will go down as the longest, some projecting that it can last to anywhere from mid-November to the end of the year. And with that said, this country is headed into some uncharted territories. We've never been in a situation like this before, a shutdown lasting for months. And it's time to face the inevitable. Programs that depend on government funding to run will eventually run out of money. So your SNAP benefits, your WIC benefits, FHA mortgages will be affected because HUD will stop processing some new loans. And the longer the shutdown lasts, then the more likely it is that payments for the Housing Choice Voucher Program, aka Section 8, will be stopped. It's only a matter of time. And we're about to dive into what's currently going on with the shutdown, who and how the country is being impacted, and what may be coming next. This is something you guys want to stick around for, so without further ado, let's get right to it. So the government shut down on October 1st because Congress failed to pass this year's appropriations bill or a continuing resolution to keep the government funded. This is a bill that must be passed every year before the end of the fiscal year, which is September 30th, or else funding for a number of government programs stops, causing the government shutdown. The main reason for this current shutdown is a standoff between the Republicans and Democrats centered around disagreements over health care. Democrats want the bill to include an extension of expiring tax credits that make health insurance cheaper for millions of Americans. They also want a reversal of Trump's cuts to Medicaid, which is used by millions of elderly, disabled, and low-income individuals. And they oppose spending cuts to government health agencies. And so far, the Democrats have refused to back a bill that doesn't correct these issues. And even though the Republicans control both the House and the Senate, they're short of the 60 votes that are needed in the Senate to pass the spending bill. So the Democrats do have some negotiating power. And while both parties are currently playing the blame game, Republicans believe that the Democrats will bear the brunt of the public blame, while the Democrats believe that their efforts to fight for cheaper health care is popular for voters. So far, since the shutdown, there's been 13 failed attempts at passing the spending bill. Republicans claim that they just want to pass the bill and worry about negotiating with healthcare concerns separately, but the Democrats aren't buying it. I mean, think about it. Once the bill is passed, the Republicans can just give the Democrats the cold shoulder. And besides, there's also pressure on congressional leaders on the left to hold firm, as it was believed that they folded too quickly during the budget dispute back in March. So as of now, the Democrats are standing their ground. And as long as neither side is willing to compromise, the government shutdown will remain. Now, during a shutdown, non-essential government workers are furloughed and stop getting paid, and essential workers continue to work, while some continue to get paid while others don't. Now, eventually, all employees are made whole, getting paid for hours that they would have worked if the government wasn't shut down. So in essence, when it's all said and done, hundreds of thousands of employees will be getting paid for doing nothing, which I think they should be because it's not their fault that Congress can't agree. But this does have a not so good impact on the economy. The Congressional Budget Office is estimating that if the shutdown lasts for 6 to 8 weeks, the economy can lose up to $11 to $14 billion. That's money that will be long gone and not coming back. And there's already been a number of programs that millions of Americans depend on that's paused or will be paused due to the shutdown. Like I mentioned, SNAP benefits, also known as food stamps, which helps over 40 million Americans each month with food, is at risk. The USDA has indicated that they do not have the funds to issue November benefits, which caused 25 states plus DC to file a lawsuit on October 28th in an attempt to force the Trump administration to fund November SNAP benefits. And this led to a federal judge ordering the Trump administration to pay SNAP benefits out of a contingency fund, which holds about $6 billion. Now, the Trump administration tried to argue that we may need to hold on to those emergency funds in case a hurricane hits, which is ridiculous. People are about to go without food and they're worried about a hypothetical make-believe hurricane that might not ever happen. Now, WIC benefits, which is a federal nutrition program that provides food, education, education, and counseling to nearly 7 million at-risk pregnant, postpartum, and breastfeeding individuals, as well as infants and children up to the age of 5, is also at risk. This is another program that's under the USDA. And even though the White House announced a temporary infusion of funds to keep the program running a few weeks ago, it's not enough to keep it running for long. Now, a handful of states have issued statements about continuing benefits at least a few weeks into November, either through funding reserves or other plans, but again, that's just a temporary fix. And then there's the Housing Choice Voucher Program, also known as Section 8. Now, with me being a Section 8 landlord, a consultant, and an educator, I've always preached about how safe renting your properties out through the Section 8 program is. I even have a course on how to do it the right way. And one of the main benefits I've always spoken about was the guaranteed on-time payments from the Housing Authority, which is the case 99.99% of the time. But as the shutdown prolongs and we continue to go down paths that this country has never been on, it's inevitable that housing authorities, which are funded by the government, will run out of money if this continues, in which case payments will be stopped. Now, this is something that's extremely rare, given the fact that the longest shutdown in history has only been for a little over a month, so payments have always continued as usual. But without a clear ending in sight, it's no telling how long this shutdown will last. There's already been reports of housing authorities saying that payments to landlords are in jeopardy because they don't know how long this is going on for. The Georgia Department of Community Affairs issued a statement saying that they expect to only make partial and prorated payments to landlords for the month of November, and will immediately issue a payment for the remaining balance when HUD releases full funding. Now, this is unfortunate, but in reality, there's always some type of risk when investing in real estate. And renting your properties through Section 8 still has the least amount of risk, in my opinion, as long as you screen your tenants properly. It's still recession-proof, it's still pandemic-proof, and even if we get to the point where payments are temporarily paused, eventually those payments will be made. Landlords will be made whole. This shutdown isn't going to last forever. So landlords will be in the same situation that furloughed workers are in. But that's why it's extremely important for landlords to have a reserve and emergency fund for situations like this. For anyone that has been following me, then they know that my main 2 points that I'm constantly preaching are: make sure you do a great job of screening your tenants, and make sure you have a reserve and emergency fund. Those are the 2 most important factors when it comes to being a successful landlord. Now, as far as Section 8 tenants, if you're still able to pay your portion of the rent and pay on time, then continue to do so. Landlords are not able to charge tenants for the housing authority's portion. So if the housing authority does stop making payments, that's something that you don't have to worry about. In a situation like this, as long as you continue to pay your portion, you're still in compliance with your lease and can't be evicted. I thank God every day that I have tenants that make their payments and make them on time. So before we continue with the rest of the video, including exactly what we can expect to happen next, it's time to hear from the sponsors of this video, Smart Credit. Smart Credit is a DIY platform for credit, and it gives you all the tools you need to stay on top of and efficiently self-manage your credit and finances. It has this score boost feature that'll tell you exactly what you need to do to get the most points in the fastest amount of time on your credit score, with members adding an average of 34 points in as little as 30 days. You can literally move the slider back and forth, and it tells you how much to pay on each card and on which date in order for you to maximize your points. And when it's time for you to spend some money, because let's be real, saving is fun, but spending is fun too. It has a feature that'll show you how spending will affect your score, telling you which cards to spend on that'll cause the least amount of damage to your credit score. So in other words, you'll get a personalized spending and savings plan to help you add the most points and also keep you from losing the most points. It's the best of both worlds. And then there's this score builder tool, which is a feature that'll help you correct errors on your account. If there's anything on your credit that you don't agree with the click of a button, you're able to contact your creditors or financial institutions to correct those errors and potentially have them removed. And speaking of errors on your credit account, Smart Credit also includes $1 million in fraud and scam insurance and credit monitoring. So you'll know if anyone ever tries to steal your identity and open up accounts in your name. So all in all, this platform has the perfect setup for you to take action yourself, giving you all the tools you need to maximize, manage, and protect your credit, finances, and ID. You can sign up for Smart Credit with my personalized link in the description, where you can get a 7-day trial for just $1. Yes, $1. And just like so many others have already done, you can begin to take control of your credit with Smart Credit. So sign up with the link in the description. So this shutdown is having a major impact on programs that rely on government funding. I mentioned SNAP, I mentioned WIC, I mentioned vouchers, and then there's also other programs. But unfortunately, there are many people in this country who do not care if people lose these benefits.
I don't care that you're losing your food stamps. I don't care that you're losing your free medical. I don't care that you are losing your free housing. Now y'all are just getting a taste of what every other person is going through. I should not have to pay to feed you and your 9 children.
Get off your ass, Go to work and get off the government tit. It's simple. Oh, and also stop having so many goddamn kids.
Now, the reality of this situation is a lot of people only care about the situation that they're in. And if something is not affecting them directly, then they can care less. A lot of individuals have a total lack of empathy, and they will never understand the importance of a lot of these programs unless they were in a situation where they needed them or relied on them. I mean, let's be honest, people are selfish. And there's a large group of people that believe that since they're not getting government benefits, then other people shouldn't either. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, I don't want my tax dollars paying for that. But in actuality, tax dollars pay for a lot of programs that you aren't in full support of, but it's supposed to be for the betterment of the country as a whole. And providing rental assistance, food assistance, and health care to individuals that can't afford it is definitely for the betterment of this country. Those are the three most important things that are essential to life, and without them, people will do whatever it takes to get them, especially for food. So in other words, if you take someone's food benefits away that they rely on, crime would go up, violence, robberies, theft, all types of criminal activity. Back someone in a corner who is desperate to survive, who has kids that they care for, and see what happens. And believe it or not, government programs and those who rely on them aren't the only ones being affected by this shutdown. I'm a real estate agent, and I've already had 2 clients put a hold on buying a home right now because they were furloughed. There's been flight delays as there's a shortage on air traffic controllers and TSA officers. The Small Business Administration is delaying the funding for a number of small private businesses. I mean, this shutdown is having a major impact, and not just on people who rely on assistance. And the longer it goes on, then the more people and businesses it will impact. Now, with all of this being said, what can we expect to happen next? Well, sooner or later, Congress is going to have to compromise. If they can't agree on a full funding bill, they may be able to agree on a continuing resolution, which is short term, but at least allows the government to reopen and back pay to be administered. Or we may see individual appropriation bills for certain government departments, which would lead to partial reopenings. There's also discussions of that as well. Look, either way, Congress has the responsibility to get this done, because the longer this shutdown lasts, the more harm it's going to cause to the country. Now, if you are someone who's affected by the shutdown, make sure you check with your state to see if they're providing temporary relief. For example, some states are stepping in to help with SNAP benefits, and hopefully this is something that doesn't go on for too much longer, and I'll try to keep you guys informed if we have any major changes. And as always, thanks for watching.